You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications button so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live.
He was an abusive man. He hurt my mum a lot. I think he broke her back at one stage. My mum's rung up, crying her eyes out. Your brother's been stabbed again, he's in hospital. I said, are you joking? Where is he? She said, I said, is he going to be all right? She said, no, he's refusing to be operated on until he sees me. I said, well, what's the matter? She went, I don't know, you've got to get yourself down. So I've gone down there and he went, I need to tell you. And your mum needs to tell you, and I ain't going to be operated on until I hear it. Is that man our dad or isn't he our dad? And she, in the end, she said, no, not your dad. You ever thought about acting? I went, acting? I said, acting's for mugs like this. Because for me, not acting's for mugs like this. For me, all the actors I know never had any dough. I mean, I sit next to De Niro and I'm like, De Niro's probably D, you know what I mean? And I work with, Richard Gere that we all grew up idolising, and I still sit with him, and inside I'm like a child.
Did you realise how big the football factory would be?
No, none of them. That was all shot at my club. There was no money. It was made on a shoestring budget. I think I got paid 15 grand to do the business, you know.
That's fucking
15 grand.
Blockbuster film as well.
Right, 15 grand. And then she just, out the fucking blue, Dad, I want to go on Love Island. It's a fucking wind-up. And we lost everything. And it was sad. And you know what? I just see the tear drop down my eye. And for me, the full price on that, we've all been there, mate. Everyone's fucked up on the gear, fucked up on the booze. We've had it all, and we've fucked it.
Boom, we're on.
We're on.
Today's guest, we've got a big Tamer Hassan. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. Good to be here.
Good to see you.
We worked out in the end, didn't we? We tried to get us around the table a little while back, and it couldn't happen. But I'm happy to be here, mate. And I'm really, I've got to say I'm proud of your success, and I'm really happy for you, mate. You deserve it.
Yeah, really thank you. It's big coming from a man like yourself. Like you've caused it the last few years, filming businesses everywhere. Like, I know a lot of friends who are very close to you as well. Sure. Friends who are well respected, well respect you as well. Like,
sure.
You've lived a great life, mate, and you've still got that big smile on your face that everybody loves.
I have that mentality of where I'm not even halfway through yet. You haven't seen the best of me yet. I've had that mentality for years. I mean, people talk about age and all of that, and I'm a ripe age of 54, but I feel the best I've ever felt. I've had my ups and downs, and I'm sure I'm going to have a lot more ups and downs, but I'll deal with it.
You still look fucking great.
Thank you.
I always go back to the start of my guests, where you grew up and how it all began.
I grew up in South East London, New Cross. My mum, bless her, she's still there. My dad passed away about 6 months ago.
Sorry to hear that.
That's okay. Thank you. But we all started off in New Cross. Come from very humble beginnings. Immigrant mum and dad. When they came in the 50s, there wasn't many foreigners here. It was the Cypriots, West Indians, and the Irish. Predominantly. So we created a community and we all kind of stuck together. The racism side of things was very strong growing up, but it was okay. We dealt with it. And I grew up in the flats. We started off in tower box and stuff, and then we moved to an estate, which was really lovely at the time. My mum got lucky and got a 4-bedroom house on an estate, which was lovely. And then it kind of started from there. Growing up, started boxing at a very young age to prevent or try and stop the bullies from beating us up. And people look at me now and I'm very big and imposing and stuff, but as a kid I was pure white, a little fat Turk with loads of hair. Something never changed. I'm a big fat Turk with loads of hair now, but it kind of started from there. But I had a good upbringing. I had a lovely upbringing, to tell the truth. It was nice. My mum and dad never had much, but nobody did, in the 70s and 80s. But community was lovely. I enjoyed living, growing up in the flats and being around that sort of community. A lot of people, I hear people say, oh, it's horrendous. I grew up in the flats, I grew up in the estates, and it was horrible. I don't believe you did. because there was always a little element of, drug dealers, bad boys and people that are not right, but they kind of got put straight quite quickly. And the community leaving your door open and, if you ain't got no sugar, you knock next door, you got the sugar. And it was the help and the love and the community you got. Like I said, we never got all the best things that the other kids had, but we had a lot of love, and we was raised with discipline, no talking at the table and being brought up that way indoors. And, my mum bathed us every night, loved us, kissed us, put us to bed. My dad he weren't present, but most men weren't in them days. He was at the cafe or he was gambling or he was away working. But whatever you can say, he never laid a hand on us. And, he never laid a hand on my mum. He was ignorant, never spoke to us, never really raised us. But it is what it is. I don't hate him for it. I loved him for it. And just that's just his nature. He was a military man, did 8 years in the army. He was a commando, and he wouldn't talk to us, he was just that guy. But my mum was always there and she loved us. But saying that, there was always plenty of food in the house. Mm-hmm. And, and my mum was there. My mum worked hard growing up. She was a seamstress, and we used to help my mum. And then school, I was a little bit of a tearaway at school. I'd always get into fights. I was small, but I had a big heart. I just couldn't take the fact of the bullying side of it. I didn't understand it as a kid. I just thought I was just a foreigner I was just a kid in a foreign land that weren't going to be accepted. And it didn't really matter then whether you was Indian, Pakistani, black, white, red, pink. If you wasn't English, you just weren't accepted. And it was always tough for everyone. And I think everyone can back it up from those days. You used to sit there and think, you had an English name, or you just want to be accepted. A lot of people channeled that through football, villainy, thieving, fighting. And I was fighting. I just used to fight all the time. It was just horrendous at school. I just wouldn't. I'd fight. I'd get beat up because I just didn't have the minerals then. My mum took me to judo and tried to do these things. It just wouldn't work. And then Ginger May, God rest his soul, he had a boxing club in All Saints Church in New Cross. And she just took me down there. He was friends with her. She took me down there. And he reminded me of Mickey out of Rocky. He genuinely was that man. He was a real life Mickey, roll up hanging out the side of his mouth, little cap on. One of them men that could do 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 press-ups with a roll-up hanging out of his mouth. Those old school strong men. And he raised us. He loved us. He looked after us. Father Owen was he's still alive, I think. Father Owen. We had a community there. We was fighters and we had a community there, and things started changing. Back in the day, you'd go to the boxing gym and want to be a boxer to get the girls, or to swerve people away from you, leave them alone, he's a boxer. But I enjoyed it, I loved it, and it went from there to where we are today. I was always an entrepreneur. My mum, I was very disobedient, I couldn't take orders, so my mum knew very early on that I couldn't be a man in a job. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't take an order. So at the age of 12, she set me up a market stall at Eastlade Market, and then it moved on to Nine Elms Market, and I was a market trader from a very young age, and then it just kind of catapulted from there.
How was it not having that love from the father figure? Do you think that affected you as a kid?
No, not at all. It affected my brother a lot, because the father that raised me wasn't my real father. My mum was a very strong pillar in the community. She was a tough woman, and my real father, who I believe he's dead, he was an abusive man. He hurt my mum a lot. I think he broke her back at one stage. But he was a habitual. It was a running thing, because I've met my two brothers that I've got in Cyprus that were very successful. We're very similar. They're older than me, but he would marry, have 2 kids, and go. Marry, have 2 kids, go. Very abusive. Playboy, whatever, drunk, abusive piece of shit. And he did the same to my mum. But he left when I was 6 months old, and my big brother was 3 years old. And I remember my mum saying because I didn't know until I was 27. It's quite a sad story, I found out. But my big brother was in and out of prison. But when he left, it really affected my brother. And then my mum kind of knew early on what kind of boys we were going to be. And she told the whole community, if anybody ever utters a word that this man who come and actually saved my mum, took her out the halfway home, saved my mum. If anyone said that this man ain't their father, they're gonna have me to deal with. And she was a tough woman. Trust me.
You found out at 27 that he wasn't your dad?
Yeah, it was quite a sad thing. My brother was a bit of a fighter. Started drinking at an early age, alcoholic, left home at 14, had a kid at 15. And he got stabbed 13 times with a pair of scissors. So it was actually 26 times. He was going to die. But he went to prison before me. And as he was growing up, he started hearing people in this company, you know, that ain't your dad. You know, that ain't your dad. You know, that ain't your dad. And then he took it upon himself to go and find out who his dad was and if it was true and it weren't true. And we had the conversation once, and I said, you're talking shit, stop believing people. You know, I had nightclubs, I was successful, he was sort of, you know, drinking, I was taking care of him. And I said, don't listen to it, it's all bollocks. And then he was in the hospital, and I was upstairs in a nightclub, I was in a nightclub called Dorothy's. I'm sitting in the office and something ain't right, you know, he's feeling something ain't right, something ain't right, something ain't right. I couldn't get drunk, I couldn't have a good time. And what's the matter? I said, that something ain't right. My mum's rung up, crying her eyes out, your brother's been stabbed again, he's in hospital. I said, are you joking? Where is he? I said, is he going to be all right? She said, no, he's refusing to be operated on until he sees me. I said, well, what's the matter? She went, I don't know, you've got to get yourself down. So I've gone down there, and he went, I need to tell you. And your mum needs to tell you, and I ain't going to be operated on until I hear it. Is that man our dad or isn't he our dad? And in the end, she said, no, not your dad. He got operated on it, he's all right now. But it was quite sad the way I found out. It was emotional. It wasn't sad, it was emotional. My dad, because I raised my sister as well, my dad was, it was the first time ever I actually see him show some emotion, because he was very cold, and the first time I actually see him show some emotion. And he just said, look, you know, if you want to go and find your dad, I'm okay with it. And I was like, nah, not interested.
Do you think he was cold because he knew it wasn't your real dad?
Maybe. It kind of makes sense now.
If he's living a lie. Do you know what I mean? But he's obviously probably doing it through love.
Yeah, maybe. Because he had a boy and a girl with my mum, and they didn't even know. We didn't even know. So we all grew up as real siblings, which my mum was brave enough to do that, and it worked. And it still worked. It worked moving forward, because it didn't change anything. Do you know? It didn't change anything, because, you know, I'm 27. My sister's 10 years younger than me. My little brother's 4 years younger than me. We was kind of really tight. It was a tight family, and we were close siblings. And I was, where my big brother was a bit of a degenerate. I don't want to say it, but because I love him, and he's on the mend now. But at the time, he was horrible. He wasn't a good big brother. So I took that role. Mm-hmm. So I was the big brother, and I looked after him, and I raised him, because my mum was always working. My dad weren't present. But I think, yeah, it could be that. Yeah. Because he was a lot closer with them two. When you look back on it, he was a lot closer with them two. But there's nothing saying he didn't love us. You know, if he didn't, he would abuse us, hit us, swear. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't violent. He just was distant. Not present, just distant. Yeah. You know,
would you have preferred not to have found out?
It didn't bother me that much.
Was there always something in your mind that...
I always knew there was something there. I always knew, even from a young kid, the way my real dad's family used to treat me, and I was a cute kid at the time, and I was a bit special, they used to say, but I always knew something wasn't right. I always knew something was there, but what it was, I don't know. But you have that instinct, didn't you, as a child? And I got fussed over a lot. By one side of the family and not the other. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like my aunties, my dad's sisters didn't fuss over me as much as my real dad's sisters, but my mum never ever said, she just said, oh, they're my friends.
The boxing, you had over 80 amateur fights, is that correct?
No, more, yeah, lots more.
That's a lot. Well, you have
40 or something. Yeah, I started at the age of 7 and finished at about 20 something. I got a detached retina, and my hand smashed up, my nose went, and that's all I ever wanted to be, was a pro boxer. But now it's quite sad. They just throw you in the ring, don't they? Now, I mean, then we'd have to train for 3 years before we even got a medical. You fail your medical, you got to train for another year to get it. It's always harder to get a license to fight at any level. So, but yeah, but once I detached, and this happened, and to tell you the truth, I'm overwhelmed that I didn't turn pro. because to see what they go through and what they have to go through,
They get rinsed.
not easy. They get rinsed.
I had Sonny Edwards on before you, and he was saying it's just corrupt as fuck. The amount of percentages that people take before they even get their purses is unbelievable.
That is the saddest part of it, but it's what the body has to go through and the damage, the permanent damage you cause when you stop. I'm happy for that. Do you know what I mean? I've got twitches and I shake my head every now and again and I have little twitches and stuff.
I think everybody does that.
I just sit there like that. What are you doing? I'm just throwing the devil out. I'm just getting rid of the devil. My jaw goes and my head goes, sitting there like a fucking madmen, just sitting there shaking our heads and twitching. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I loved the discipline of it. And then I went on to owning a semi-pro football clubs myself, an Elton boxing club. And, the kids come in from broken families and stuff, and it's an escape for them. Because I remember it was an escape for me when I was in that gym. I couldn't wait to get into that gym every day. I'd get up in the morning, 5 o'clock, run in, come back, sleep, shower, breakfast, go to work, straight to the gym. Every day, it was just my life. I loved it. My mate said, sorry, if you ever get them, if you ever speak to them, they go, because they was all smoking and drinking. And I never had a drink till I was in my mid-20s. I started late, and they'd be in the pub and they'd see me running past the pub. I'd wave me, all right, you coming in for a drink? Nah, not for me. Do you know what I mean? But I've always wanted to be a pro something. I've always wanted to be a pro footballer or a pro boxer or something. I've always wanted to be a somebody. Do you know what I mean? Always aspired. I mean, going back to when I was a kid, I'd always subconsciously manifesting things that I never thought I'd get because we didn't have the money, but bizarrely I'd get it, and it happened, and it's still like that with me now. I still, even after all these films that I've done and all the success that I've had in the industry, I sit next to De Niro and I'm like, Robert De Niro's Bobby D, you know what I mean? And I work with Richard Gere that we all grew up idolising, and I still sit with him, and inside I'm like a child, like so happy, and I maybe get goose pimples thinking about it. But my outside persona is always going to be me because I don't want to show that side of it. But the industry, mate, I love it, I adore it. It saved my life. I just couldn't be without it. It's my happy place.
How did you end up with the entrepreneurship? Like, how did you end up with those skills? Is that from working from 12 years old to understand the business?
I think so. From 12 years old, yeah, I think that's partly to do with my mum. My mum was always very pushed. She pushed us to be business owners. She was a bit of a hippie chick, my mum, and she was very rebellious as a child. She was a tomboy, very rebellious as a child, and she would be for the girls from before the Me Too movements, before, women's lib and all that. She celebrated the girls because I think where she was brought up sort of in a strict environment with loads of brothers, she didn't want that for her girls, and she didn't want that for the girls around her. So she was always encouraging my sister to go out, or encouraging the girls, and she's always had the girls around her, and she was always doing that way. And she had her own business. Even as a seamstress, she ended up having 10 girls in the estate working for her, take a bit of commission and all of that stuff. And then she said to me, like, I got a contract, we got a contract for Selfridges, and these dresses were like $69.99 back in the day, and she'd get them for like $5, and then she'd probably put a few under the table, do you know what I mean? And she'd go, right, we go and sell these dresses. We're selling them for tenors with a $69.99 Selfridges label. And that far back, there was no such thing as snide gear. Mm-hmm. How'd you get them? It was either nicked or it wasn't a label. So my mum used to say, we've stolen them, but don't tell anyone, do you know? Mm-hmm. So, and we started from there, and I remember she had a Beetle, a Volkswagen Beetle, and she put a roof rack on it, and then we'd put the frames of the stall on the roof rack, put the seats down and put all the dresses in the back, and she'd take me, leave me there, and then come away from there. But I think, again, from a very young age, I've always wanted to be something or be someone or be somebody of importance. I was never a worker bee. I was never somebody that would work for someone or follow the crowd. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's where it started. It started then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a Millwall fan.
Yeah.
Were you ever in the casual scene? Or is that a myth?
Was I?
In the football casual scene?
No, I was there.
Were you there?
I used to run with the pack.
Yeah, somebody told me that.
Used to run with the pack.
I didn't know, obviously, because of Football Factory. I don't know if people are just throwing that in there.
No. Yeah, I knew all the boys. We used to run with the pack. I used to not travel away so much, but I was at the home games, and I know all the whackers, and they used to frequent my bars and clubs and stuff. And so I did have a little stint with the casuals and stuff. I never used to dress like them. It was quite funny. I used to have really long hair. And I could even pass for a mixed race kid because it was curly, thick, curly long hair. And I used to shave it underneath and then tuck it. You see, I still wear cap. And then tuck it under the cap. And I used to wear very long mats. And they used to wear all the Stone Island and all that. And I quickly worked it out that I didn't want to put any scarves or badges or anything on me. So I'd do what I had to do. Take the coat off, sling it, pull the hair out, shake it, and just carry on walking like nothing had happened. So I was very lucky that way. I got away with a lot with the football stuff, but I was in and out. I quickly got out of it once I started owning businesses and become a licensee and that. You can't. And then when the boys started getting 8 years after Luton, you know, all the boys started getting trumpy bits of bird. I mean, years ago you'd get fines, you'd have a bit of community service, or you'd get it's like 5-6 weeks. But then when they slapped the 8 years on the boys when they wrecked Luton, I don't know if you remember that years ago when they did Luton. Everyone kind of went, fuck that. This is not for us. Life is it changed from a meet and a tear up to really being a bad crime, you know. You know,
it's mad the sentences that people were getting. Who was it? Tiny? Was it Tiny? Because I had big.
He's gone now, you know.
I had West Ham one.
Love Tiny.
Gardner, big Bill Gardner.
Yeah.
But Tiny wanted to speak to Bill before he died, and Bill's like, I don't want to fucking speak to him. And then obviously they ended up phoning him, and the two of them ended up just talking, and then he went that night or the next day.
Yeah.
Because they had so much respect for each other. West Ham top boy White. And he's like, why the fuck? And his friends like, fuck him and that. He got grief from the West Ham mob that he'd phoned him. But both legends in that.
Listen,
obviously.
two legends. But it's like the Football Factory. I think, you know, Nick Love did a phenomenal job with that. And the people we brought in to authenticate the fight scenes, the meets. I mean, it's called the Football Factory. You don't see one football. And I think it's the closest one to how it really is or how it used to be.
Did you have any say in any of the scenes?
We did our little bit. We helped as much as we could. I don't want to say the names.
Take all the credit.
I don't want to take all the credit, but the names, the Millwall boys that were there were spot on, absolutely spot on. It was quite funny on that last fight scene. We turned up, and then we had like a couple of kids, like little skinny kids in Burberry hats, and I was like, what are you doing? It's only a film. We'll make it. No, mate, it's not just a film. We're in the arches around the back of the den, and this film's going to be an instant. We knew what it was going to be, so we had to get it right. And then we just got on the phone and said to the boys, listen, do you want to be in a film? The police, we cleared it with the police. They were right police. I said, listen, we're happy to go if they're going to go. They don't have to do any paperwork. So a lot of that last fight scene in the Football Factory, kid broke his arm, and we said, look, you know, have you ever been hit with a bat? And if you go at them, they're going to go at you. Because you got to remember, these riot police are probably getting spat every weekend. And I said, look, we're going to bring a few of the boys that are right. And they're probably thinking, yes, cooks, it's all right. So in their head, they're probably going to get their own back. Yeah. But that scene did get really messy at one stage. Really did get messy.
What's the difference from fighting for Millwall to fighting in the ring? Was it a totally different buzz?
Fighting in the ring was more fear for me than a buzz, but that was a buzz. Yeah, you get to meet, and you knew that there wasn't going to be knives or guns or anything involved. It was a terror. Every now and again, someone took a liberty with a bottle or something, but you never that it was an adrenaline thing. The fear. I mean, I don't care who you are, unless you're a complete psychopath. When you're walking into a melee, there's the element of fear in you. The butterflies go. You always got a bad feeling this one's going to go wrong. But I think that's the buzz, that's the drive, and that's the energy around it. That's the addictive part of it. I mean, every time I walked to the ring, mate, I was terrified of losing. And that's what I think made me win. And my mum used to say, always remember, son, the one who hits first always wins the fight. And I mean, for me, that didn't work in a ring. But, you know, get the first one in.
Why's Millwall got that fearsome reputation out of everyone? Millwall's always top boys. They're always at the top, aren't they?
They're the Dockers. They're the old Dockers. They're hard men back in the day. And I think with the Zulus, they were predominantly black.
big one-eye Baz. I was good
love
friends with
Baz,
Baz.
mate.
God rest
God
his soul,
rest his
man.
soul.
Yeah.
What a man, mate.
His
And
Mrs.
pay
Tracy,
homage to him, mate. You know, God rest his soul, mate. What a beautiful
Fuck
man.
him, fuck. Listen.
Standing, look, I'm scared thinking about him. Imagine running into him.
Running in a corner, that cunt's there. World champion kickboxer.
Mate, forget it.
Did you get a lot of people? Did you ever get people running though and thinking, fuck that?
Listen, I don't care who you are. Zulus, whackers, it doesn't matter who you are. There is an element where you're going to get run somewhere. You can't win them all. But I'll tell you, I've got a lot of love for the boys up in Birmingham, because when we did the Football Factory, we did and thanks to Cash Pennant, we did a regional tour, a Q&A, and they looked after us so much. And that's when I got to know Trevor as well, God rest his soul, and Bird and Baz, and I got really close with them. But it's quite lovely. I mean, the rival between West Ham and Millwall is so strong. It's ingrained.
Why is
they
that?
Can't be mates. It's because they're neighbours. It's just one of them things. It's there's always somewhere in the world or in some league somewhere that you've got two rivals, Man United, Liverpool, whatever, Tottenham, Chelsea. But with West Ham, it's ingrained. I think because they're so close to each other, close proximity, and they're working class men. You know, and listen, every island, we're islanders, we're territorial, aren't we? You know, it's just who we are.
What was it like working at, like, having restaurants, nightclubs and that? Did you ever get much trouble? Or
Always had trouble.
Does that not become a fucking pain in the arse though?
Pain in the arse, yeah. But that's what I did. There was always trouble. Restaurants weren't too bad. Restaurants fine, but when I had the nightclubs and the booze, oh mate, it was all, because what it was, I was on that side of the tracks. I was there I knew everyone, as you probably know. I know all the chaps. And I was always doing bits, and, you know, I had my life there as well, doing that sort of stuff. It wasn't a choice, but it's just what's handed to you, and that was the best way we could go and get a nice few quid and do what we do. But once I kind of, well, you never leave it, but once I was one of the smart ones, you know, we used to go and have a cool, have a move, and then they'd go and spend their money on birds and clubs and all that stuff. But I'd always want to invest something and do something. So I'd get a club or a bar or put something into it. And it was quite funny. My dad was the one that kind of said, I said, what am I doing? I said, fucking, I've got this money, I don't know what to do. What would you like doing? Just for a joke, I went, well, I like going out smashing birds and drinking and have a good time in clubs. He went, well, buy a club then. You can do all of that and make money. I was like, light bulb moment, ching, you're right. But then when you're around all of these people, and I was never one to stay on one side, because our family and our people that we was around, they was at one side of London, they was the other side. But us as youngsters were mates with all the sort of the top villains, nephews and sons and all of that stuff. So it was always difficult. Like, they'd fall out, and then we'd have to fall out. And we just kind of didn't. Yeah, it's just bullshit politics. And then when you've got a club, you've got like a focal point, especially I had the old Tunnel Club, which is 338 now. Is it 338 now? Well, it was called Dorrington's when I had it, but it was like a meeting point for everyone. And then people would come and you'd have to say, well, you have to try and work it out. And I'd just say to people, look, if you're having murders outside of here, whoever comes first, they're in. If you come after them, it's not personal. I'm just not having you do this in here. No problem, they all got it. But a couple of times that just didn't work, did it? So, because a few, they'd turn up, out their faces, and back in the 80s and the 90s, well, the 90s, should I say, predominantly mid to late 90s, it was rife, and people were either dropping a pill and having a good time or sniffing and wanting to kill each other. And the egos then and the groups and the gangs, it's not like it is now. Then you had your pockets and, you know, Bermondsey Wharf Road, this one, that one, and if they go at each other, they go at each other. And a couple of times people turned up at the door and pulled the guns out. And then you got to run around pulling tapes out and trying to clear it all up, and pulling tapes out of recorders, and because you know someone's going to knock on the door. Did you this? Did you that? And listen, Cass will tell you he's been there a few times, and I've always been one to help. I've always been a good mediator. And listen, I'll have a tear up if I have to have a tear up. I've had a million of them, but I'm always the one to go, listen, you're out of order, you're out of order. I'm always good on a sit down.
Negotiator.
I never turn away from a sit down, because there's nothing that can't be resolved with a few quid and a chat.
Yeah. What was the decision to start drinking, especially if you're keeping fit? Eye on the prize, you've got businesses to then, you see people sitting in the bar stools and think, because if you're in that business, you see them deteriorating.
Yeah, they're still there now.
Yeah.
My mates said they look. I mean, people go to me, fucking old. You like Benjamin Button, don't you, age? Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, well,
I feel like the fucking same as you did 20 years ago.
It's the same thing. But, you know, I don't do the Botox. I don't do the fillers. I think it's...
Oh, do you not do it?
No, I've done nothing yet. I've done nothing.
Yeah,
I bet girls pull
fuck
about and they pull them out of my face. I've done it. Listen, I'm not saying I won't. I always sit there and I say to the wife, I go, shut do a little bit now. You're an actor. It's nice. Just grow old gracefully.
Mickey Rourke, mate, in fucking 5 years. Have you ever seen that cunt? Mickey Rourke, the actor.
Oh, no, he's a mate of mine, Mickey, as well. What's he done?
He's fucking done to his face, mate. Handsome bastard.
Do you know what a looker he was? But they say it's addictive.
Yeah, that's what
Like,
I'm
he'll
saying.
wake up and go, I want a Roman nose. Go down to the thing and just chop his nose off and put a Roman nose on.
How is he?
He's all right. Is that
What
his
an
mum?
actor he was as
What
well.
a boxer.
What happened to him?
What a boxer.
The wrestler, what a film.
Right, no, but what a boxer.
Yeah.
People laugh at him as a boxer, man. He was
turned pro,
undefeated,
didn't
you know.
he? Yeah, he turned pro, didn't he?
Turned pro. Turned pro. Solid man. Beautiful man. A man's man. Nothing wrong with Mickey, mate. Bit eccentric, but which one of us actors ain't? We all go mad in the end. Bit eccentric, but and a fucking phenomenal actor.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The wrestler was unbelievable.
In anything.
How hard is that to see, like, people, you know, but they try to hang on to a career and it's fucking hard, especially if you're doing the other stuff with it and it just declines. Like, is that hard to see?
The booze, you asked me about the booze. Why did I start drinking?
Yeah, why did you start?
Do you know, I've never been a pub man. I used to go in the pub because pub discos and that was the rage. Then we couldn't afford to go to the West End have clubs. So the local pubs, I used to kind of go in there to pull birds and have a laugh and all of that stuff. But I was never really a pub. But for me, I was playing catch up. I went to Spain. I met a wife. And I just started drinking. And to this day, I fucking hate the taste of alcohol. Like, literally. But I love getting drunk. That was my thing. I hated it. So
Mum's the pain, done it?
if I could take a pill and I'm drunk, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I'm that one where I'll binge and I'll think, fuck, I'll just line up loads of tequila because I just want to get drunk. And I shot the tequilas and I'm drunk and I'm done. I'm good. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I felt like I was playing catch up. Like, I haven't done all of this and I couldn't find anymore and I've missed out on all of that stuff. And I just started traveling and going to clubs, and then the movie business fell on my lap, and I got famous really quick. And then, mate, what a fucking journey that was.
How did that start then? How did you end up from working nightclubs, having restaurants, fighting for Millwall, fucking retired boxer, to then some of the biggest British films of all time?
Yeah, by the grace of God, thank you. But if I had a pound for every time I told this story, I'd never have to work again. But I'll keep it short because I'm sure people have heard this a million times. I never wanted to be an actor, especially with what we was doing and the people I'd ran me and the fraternity I was in, cameras and things like that. It just wasn't the done thing. So,
Feel like a snitch?
Huh?
Feel like
yeah, well, it's like what you're doing. Well, you're doing interviews and books and all of that stuff, you know, and especially the people that raised me and the people that I was around, they were very strict with all of that stuff. So I was always investing in stuff. Like, I'd get a restaurant and I'd do this, and someone would go like, do you want to throw 20 grand into this? Do you want to do? So I was always like that, and there was an opportunity. And every time at the nightclubs, I used to facilitate everyone from gangsters to straight goers, normal people, to film producers, to actors. Everyone was always there. You know, it was a beautiful mix of eclectic people. And producers say to me, and I always used to, listen, I was a lot slimmer and a lot better looking when I was younger. So I was always a great dresser. I'd be wearing leather trousers, leather shirts before people knew what leather shirt. A friend of mine, Michael Mulder, used to own Motor Free down in Blackheath, and we used to sit there and create. He used to do like these leather jackets for me and the leather shirts and leather trousers and boots and accessories. And I had long hair and a ponytail, and I was always immaculate. And I always used to stroll around, and I was a great host, good storyteller, good host, good mediator. Sat there, people used to look, and you know, I was always that guy, you know, like that. And people used to say to me, yeah, you should be in a movie, you should be in a movie. I think that film, Gangster #1, the producer, the one that Paul Bettany, you know,
yeah.
They come up to me and spoke to me about that. Because originally it was going to be, he was a boxer, Bettany's role. And because I was a boxer and I had the gym upstairs in my football club, Elton Box Club. And the producer, I think it was Jamie Redknapp that called me and said something about it. And I was like, drop me, I can't do that, I'll get fucking slaughtered. In the film, you're joking, they'll kill me. And it kind of started from there. And then a friend of mine who used to supply all the girls for Spearmint Rhino, lovely man he was an old rocker. And he said, he kind of set it up, but what he said to me is, do you want to invest in an agency? I said, what's an agency? He said, an acting agency. I don't know nothing about it. He went, well, give me the spill. He said, how much is it? He went, 25 grand or something. I went, fuck it. He went, just come and take the meeting. Like this. But unbeknown to me, he was trying to get me with an agent. And she still works with me now. She's producing that Camilla story. She had something called a MTA, model turned actor, and she was got a bit of a scout and stuff. So I turned up late. But she in her head, I'm going to do a deal. So I get there when I get there. I'm giving the money, you know what I mean? So, and I'm always fucking late anyway. So,
we know, mate.
Yeah,
we
I'm always
know.
fucking late. My perception of time is just fucking horrendous, mate. So we turn up at Bentley's Oyster and Champagne Bar round the back of Piccadilly, where is Regent Street, and he's there. He comes out, hello mate. I'm sorry, I'm late. I was just about to open a restaurant called Blue Eye, a Fruit and Mare restaurant. So I'm running around, but I thought I'd just get it in while I can. Turned up, she's sitting there, fucking Hitler. Yeah, and you got a watch. I went, cheeky cow. You just want to get money out. And she didn't know, it was all bollocks about buying the agency. And then we started, I said, like that. And like fucking redhead, fucking short, ballsy, fucking white as a sheep, fucking fucking
pit bull.
Yeah. And I was like, I said, yeah, no, sweet. But then she started talking. And then I see it going. I went, am I point? What is this? He went, look, I'm sorry, but I just want you to, you've got to do this. You've got to have a go at this acting thing. I went, oh, fuck's sake, Graham, drop me out. And then it ended up that I did invest in the agency and stuff. And then she just threw it out there. She went, you ever thought about acting? I went, acting? I said, acting's for mugs like this. Because for me, not acting's for mugs like this. For me, all the actors I knew never had any dough. Yeah. They'd come to the bar, can I get a tab? Can you cash this for me? Can you this for me? Can you? Because it's only the guys that made it made the money. And I just went, acting's for mugs. I went, Graham, listen, I've got to go, I can't fuck with all this. And she's sitting there. Kill him. And then she went, I said, look, I'm really sorry, I've got to go. And I pulled out a few 50s, red ones, put it on. I said, look, this is on me. I have this on me. She said, well, where are you going? I said, I've got to go and get some float for the tills. I'm opening a restaurant tonight, so I'm in a bit of a rush. I'm sorry, let's pick this up another time. She's turned around and gone, how much do you need? I'll go and get it out of the bank. I said, no, babe. I said, I need change. Back in the days, it was tills, weren't it? You needed float and coins in the till. And then she was like, and then she walked out. I went, see you later. Dropped the thing down, gone. I went, fucking hell, Graham. I said, she's a ball breaker, isn't she? Like, he went, no, but she's really nice. She's really nice. Will you take a meeting with her again? I went, yeah, see you later. Forgot about it. A couple of weeks later, she goes, can you come in and take a meeting and we'd talk about the business and blah, blah, blah. And he went, you know, she said, and I said, yeah, I went in. And then they wanted me to audition. I'm like, it was all bizarre. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Because she still thinks I want to be an actor. Yeah. But I don't. And he's going, just go with it. And then cut a long story short, we invested, we did it. And then BBC called up and they said, what's when the Phil Mitchell shooting was? Nothing had happened. I've done that. Fucking leave me alone. It was horrendous trying to read. And I just didn't want anything to do with it. And then they said, will you do me a favour? Will you go for the audition? I said, well, audition for what? She went, because BBC, if we don't send someone, we've got no one villainy looking on the books. Just go, it's no dialogue, just take the meeting, let them have a look at you, put a leather jacket on, and then you're out. It just keeps us in good stead with the BBC. So I said, seriously? She went, please. I went, all right, sweet, I can't do it. Gone there, done it. Julia Crampsey who was a casting director, lovely woman, she used to drink in the bar. And we had a company where we would send the boys in and clean up dirty pubs. Mm-hmm. You know, if someone's got an ag pub, we'd go in and clean them up. And she was in one of the gaffs that she sees clean up. And unbeknown to me, she said, I've gone in the room, I've got a leather jacket, I'm sitting there. I said, how are you doing? I just looked, she went, but she went, can you wait 1 minute? She's gone to the set and called the director. And I heard her go, we got the real deal here. I'm thinking, I'm going to fucking act. This will come out later when Julia was spoke to. She said, I'm a fucking actor. You don't remember. I think I'm Antonio Banderas or Steven Seagal, I said. So I just sat there and she went, can you just say a bit of dialogue, stand up, do this, do that? I went, yeah, sweet, I did it. Thank you very much. So I got in the car, I rang rang the agent. I said, don't you ever fucking make me do that again. I was terrified. It was fucking horrible. I ain't doing it again like that. She went, all right, I'm sorry, thanks for doing it. 10 minutes later, they've stopped the casting. They said, she's going, you ain't going to fucking believe this. You know what's coming.
I got the job.
She said, you ain't going to believe that I offered you the job. I said, tell them I'm dead. I've left the country. I'm in prison. Do what you want. I ain't fucking doing it. So
and that's how it started.
And that's how it started. And Dan, Craig Fairbrass, mate of mine, he was Dan at the time in there. Dan, he played Dan, a character called Dan. Frank Arbell's a mate of mine. He was Sun and Shine. He did Lock, Stock, and they'd come to the restaurants, and they were mates of mine. And Kemp and all them was in there, and I knew all of them. I knew all the footballers, and I knew everyone. You know, I was kind of famous without even being famous. I was the kid on the block that everyone wanted to come and have a good time with, and I was the one who had the restaurants and the clubs. And they went, listen, I'm going to be there. Just go, have a good time. You never know. You might like it. Then I said, all right, fuck it. I'll give it a go. On the quiet. No one knew. Gone in, got picked up, chauffeur, driven car, got put in the hotel for a week, turned up on set. Bit of makeup, watered, fed, went up on set, delivered what I delivered. No dialogue, just a bit yes, nodding, and it's quite easy, full of facial, a couple of facial expressions. It's quite funny. Props master come out and go, you got your props? I go, what's fucking props? And what's his name who plays Phil Mitchell? What's his name? He was absolutely fucking...
Steve?
Yeah, Steve McFadden, is it? Yeah. He was absolutely lovely. He got it straight away. Went, you never done this before, have you? I went, I ain't got a fucking clue, mate, like this. He went, don't worry, you're doing all right. He went, that's a prop, that's this, that's this. So kind of took me under his wing a little bit, and I said, am I doing all right? When you're fucking fantastic. And I looked at the monitor on the replay, and I got to tell you, mate, I was instantly addicted. It was like, I don't know what's the most addictive thing ever, heroin, whatever. It's like I took a shot of heroin, mate. I was instantly addicted, and I thought, fuck that. And at the end of all of that, they took me home, and they paid me as well. And I thought, you get paid for doing this? And I was like, this is great. It's quite funny. There was another thing that Craig Fairbrass, I think he still lives to regret. He come running on set, and he said to the director and the cameraman, make sure you leave the camera on him, because that fucker's going to be nicking all of our work one day. I think he said it just to make me feel better. But he goes, I fucking wish I never said that. So, and then it just went from there. And then after Julia Crunchy went, listen, you're going to be really big in this game. You know, you're going to be really good at this. You promised me you're going to come back and grace our show again. And I just went, it was just an overwhelming whirlwind of fun and brilliance and just excitement. I went, absolutely, Julia, of course I will, of course I'll come back. Then I call it apprenticeship work. I did Judge John Deed, I did The Bill, I did Casualty, and then I got The Calcium Kid with Orlando Bloom.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I went in for a small little role. I went in for just a bucket man, because I've got no CV, I've got nothing, and it's quite funny. And I always know how to blag a room. And I said to the agent, I said, tell me about the director. Who's the director? He went, he's done a few bits for us. He's partnered up with Guy Ritchie and Nick Love. They're the companies. He does predominantly music videos, but he's really talented. Alex Sarakoff, his name is. And I said, who's he support? I said, well, I don't fucking. I said, well, find out. I said, find out. She went, all right. And she rung up some of the words. Who's Alex for? Arsenal. Great. I mean, what do you want to know? I went, fuck it, don't worry, I'll work it out. So we've gone in there, and he's talking to me. And the role I played, P. Wright, was already offered to Gary Stretch. And I went in there and I started talking to him. And I sat in front of him. I went, fucking hell. I said, North London. I said, I love North. And I thought, I'm going to have him. And he's literally one of my best friends. I'm godfather to his children. He wrote and directed Dead Man Run. He was a showrunner on Snap. And he said, I'll never forget. He said, I had no idea you weren't blagging me like this. And I said, but you said, you married? I said, yeah, married wife from North London. I said, I'm an avid Arsenal supporter. I went, I'm mad for the Gooners, mate. Like this. He went, me too. That was it. I had him. I had him.
That is class.
I had him, mate. Nicked him. I mean, as I say, whatever it takes. And then he said, do me a favour, go away. He said, forget that. He said, you're better than that. He said, South London boxer. Okay, he said, you're actually perfect for it. I mean, he was a boxer. He was a great boxer, Gary Stretch, but he wasn't South London. He wanted it to be authentic. So I've gone in, went away. He said, come back in a week. He said, it was a 7-page, it was the kidnap hostage scene. And I just sat indoors for 7 weeks and just fucking nailed it. Went in there, nailed it. and you know when you nailed it. And I love offers, but I like casting. Even now, I feel, let me go in and cast. Let me earn the job. You know, let me earn a bit of grog because I like it. It gives me a sense of achievement. And I went in. I knew I nailed it, and I watched him panicking. He's, you know, I had the producers of Working Title there, blah 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 blah, and I did it, and I fucking nailed it. And he started, Papa, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And I'm thinking, I didn't know at the time that Gary Stretch had been offered the job, and now he's got to tell him. And it's Gary. He's not a mug. You know what I mean? And he's. You know, he's thinking he's going to beat the shit out of him. And he's got to tell him. And then he calls me up. He goes, how tall are you? I went, how tall do you want me to be?
Walk in with high heels and an Arsenal top.
How tall do you want me to be? He said, how much do you weigh? I said, how much do you want me to weigh? He went, listen, I've got a problem. He said, I've offered a job to Gary. He said, I don't know how I'm going to get out of it, but just leave it with me. I'm offering you the role. I was like, great. And then that was it. Omid Jalili, me, Billy Piper, you know, Spall. Fuck it. And everyone from that film actually went on to be great. Michael Pena went on to be great, fucking successful people in the business, you know. And then that was it. It went from there. Then I got that. Then I got the Football Factory straight after. Then I did Layer Cake. Then I did The Business. Then I did Spivs. And, you know, when I started at the time, there was only DVD and cinema. There was no video on demand or none of this stuff, what we're doing. And it was, you know, the cinema, goes to the cinema, 3 months later the DVD's out, and then, yeah, that's it, you're gone. But I had 4 or 5 films in the cinema all at once.
Layer Cake's one of the best gangster films
out
there worldwide, I believe. Unbelievable.
I did a lot on that, you know. I did a lot of authenticating for Matthew on that. He'd pull me over and he'd go, and just going back to that, and then all of a sudden I was like overnight, just bang, it was like everyone went, who the fuck is he? And I remember Nick going to me, Danny Boyle called him and went, who the fuck is he? He's fucking brilliant, you know, he's great. And it was just, I was the focal point of everything that was going on. Do you know what I mean? At the time.
How were you treated from the villains to then being a fucking household name?
It was, do you know what saved me? Layer Cake. Layer Cake saved me. Because they enjoyed it so much.
It made sense.
It made sense to them. And they actually went, you know what, boy? You've always been a fucking movie star and you're fucking good, mate. And I think if I was shit, Layer Cake was shit.
Chased out of London.
I mean, I'm never one to sound fucking amazing or anything, but they see that film, and I remember I was in the Venus once, and I won't say which one of them. You remember they got the strip club, and I won't say which one. Come over, and he looks at me, he went, cunt. I said, what's the matter? He went, that fucking Layer Cake. Brilliant. And I went, did you enjoy it? He went, yeah, it was brilliant. He went, and you was mustard in it. It was fucking brilliant. And you know when you get that approval, but it was like, that's you now, fuck off. That's what you're doing now. You're doing that now. That's it. And we're proud of you and we're happy. Go and do what you're doing. You've got out.
I think that's your nature. I think no matter what you would have done, you'd have been approved anywhere. No matter what you've done, like you can see that you're a blagger, but you can see the energy is positive, it's strong, and that you're a fucking kind soul. Like, I think no matter what you would have done, you'd have elevated to whatever you focus. Like you say, things don't just fall in your lap.
No, you got
it happens for a reason. I believe your cards are dealt. Some people, everyone get dealt shitty cards, but it's how you play them.
You got to play them, you got to sit with them. And people say, some people thought when I was at the height of my game, and you know, me and Danny were doing what we were doing. I mean, we was billboarded, posted all over the fucking country, and you know, we'd turn up. I think me and Danny, we invented the PA. You know, back in the day, they'd pay us fortunes. We'd turn up on stage. You think Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley was on the stage, screaming kids? You know, they were just obsessed with these movies. They were like it was like a cult. It was like these just following us around the country and just doing stuff. And we had the best time of our life, I've got to tell you. But it's people used to say like, oh, man, it's lucky cunt woke up and become movie star. No, mate. You know, you got to go to work. You got to learn how to deal with that rejection jacket. You got to learn how to you read in scripts. You want it, you don't get it. It's not like you wake up. You got to put the fucking work in, you know. And people don't realise it. And to wear that rejection jacket for me, someone like me, fucking difficult. It was hard. It weren't easy. And then you just kind of get into it. And then if you want to see, for me, I thought I'm going to do this. So I got rid of the clubs, the restaurants, football club, got rid of everything. If I'm going to do something, if I'm in the F&B business, I'm in the F&B business. If I'm in whatever business, I'm going to give it my full. I'm going to give it my, I don't juggle things around. It's the lowest hanging fruit. I'm going to take that, I'm going to eat it. And I'm going to enjoy it until I can't eat it anymore, until I'm ready to move on. Do you know what I mean?
Did you realise how big the football factory would be?
No, none of them. That was all shot at my club. There was no money. It was made on a shoestring budget. My football club, all the locations we gave. Nick wanted to do it. We all fell in love with Nick. I gave him everything we could. That scene with me and Frank on the football pitch, that was at the football club. The restaurant when Rod tells him, well, you know, I don't partake in the gym too much. I suppose people fucking tell I don't take drugs, but that ain't, you know, that was in the kitchen. We built a restaurant there. All the toilet scenes were there. So we all kind of mucked in and just got it done. Do you know what I mean? And it was an amazing experience. The hardest, people say, what's the hardest bit of graft you've done in it? That last fight scene, mate. That last fight scene was the hardest day's work I've ever done in my life. I wish it should have been sponsored by Nurofen. Honestly, it was fucking horrendous, but it was well worth it.
And then you got the business after that?
Then Nick, see the relationship between me and Danny. I was a fan of Danny's long before I even knew
He's
him.
done great, hasn't he, man?
He's fucking phenomenal, isn't he? What a great actor. I mean, don't look at him on EastEnders. It's not even work for him, that. It's just getting paid, isn't he? But he is a bit special, Danny. He's a bit, and you know, when I remember I said to him, I fell in love with him. I fell in love with him when he did Mean Machine.
Yeah,
when it was
Vinnie Jones.
When he was doing all that,
Yeah.
When he did that on the balcony, and I told him a million times. That's when I just fell in love with him. And when it came to us working together, I was so fucking excited that I was going to be working with him. And I someone that never wanted to be an actor, to all of a sudden sitting with all of these greats, and you know, Frank as well from Snatch, and just sitting there, just looking around, going, "Fucking hell, is this really happening?" Do you know what I mean? And then I did that, and then I went to Paris and did a Luc Besson movie with Morgan Freeman, Jet Li, and Bob Hoskins, called Unleashed, Danny the Dog. And I'm like, and then I was doing 2-3 films at once, flying from there to Toulouse, flying back, doing spivs, doing this, and it was just a whirlwind of fucking brilliance, mate. And I met some amazing people. And I learned, I'm untrained, not one day in drama school. And I'm still learning today. Do you know what I mean? I'm still learning today. And Bob Hoskins, God rest his soul, he became my Hollywood dad, and we become really close. And I turned up late on set, and I didn't have my lines down. Fucking tore me another arsehole, mate. Like, when I say went in. And then on the way back, I picked up a lot of his values moving forward. He'd never sit in the back of the car.
Why?
Of his driver. Just wouldn't do it. Sits at the front. Never leaves the driver outside. Make sure he comes in for dinner. If he doesn't come in for dinner, he'll take food out to him.
Respected everyone.
Everyone. It's like when we was there, it was Louis Leterrier. He's just started off in his career, and I ended up working with him again on Clash of the Titans. But he would go, if they haven't got what they need by cut-off time, then they ain't getting it. You ain't gonna fucking sit around for hours and hours waiting for these cunts to get it right. And it happened. And then he said, like, you know, these bastards will make you put your head through a glass window. They'll make you rub your face in shit and eat it. And that's okay. If you sign on the dotted line and you've read the script, that's okay. But always make sure they're going to use it, and ask them. If they're not going to fucking use it, don't make me eat that shit. Because if I do it and you don't use it, you're going to have a problem. And the shoot run over once, and everyone said yes. And I thought, let me see if Bob is that ballsy man. Let me see if he. A lot of people are all talking this business. And he sat there and he went, no, he said, you can't have me. He said, I'll be here in the morning, leave it all set up, send everyone home. He said, leave it all set up, we'll pick up in the morning. He went, come on, boy. And you got to remember, I'm just starting, do I walk with him? Do I stay?
In case you lose your job.
Am I going to get in trouble?
Yeah.
Am I going to get fired? And he got off and, you know, stocky back, he just started walking. And God bless Louis Leterrier, the director. He just went to me, go on, you're right. I went, thank you. Because do you know what? I would have went.
Because he'd done Buster as well, real classic, wasn't it?
Yeah,
what a fucking film, The Great Train Robbery.
But that's right, the Buster, I mean, Roger
countless
Rabbit,
yeah.
fucking made him
Hollywood actor.
It's relentless. But I would have gone. I wouldn't have let him walk off. He was at that. I looked, and as I looked at him, if he would have gone if he wouldn't have given me the okay, I'd have just said, I'm going to see you later. I would not have left him. And it was like that to the day he fucking died, man.
Like, you've worked with some people that name in there, mate. It's fucking from...
Kingsley.
It's like, but even those parts, like the business football factory, like, even though they seem made for you, you've still got to play the character. It's not a case of being you and then going on film set, and it's natural. There's still got to be a talent there.
I'm glad you said that, James, because everyone goes, oh, well, I've met you just like you are in your films. But I've done 60 titles, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I've done comedy, I've done dramas, but these iconic films and these cult movies, Football Factory, Cass was another great one. I played Tony Bowers, you know, Dead Man Running, Bonded by Blood.
Batman.
Yeah. Batman, forget Batman. Batman was a tiny
Still a big name, but I know.
It's a Batman, but you're not in it if you're not. I mean, listen, everyone says no such thing as a small role, but for me, if there's nothing substantial in it or memorable, it isn't a role for me. But it was the early day of my career, and Batman. I took Batman because I'm obsessed with Batman. I just wanted to see Gotham City.
Yeah, same.
Do you know? I'm obsessed with Batman. If they said Bond or Batman, I'll take Batman.
Would you?
Straight away.
Why have you never been a Bond villain?
Yeah, but I don't want to be a Bond villain either. I want to be Bond.
Yes, and you fucking could.
I want to be Bond. Because people go, oh, you're just like you are in your films. I'm like, fucking hell. Do you know that scene where me and Danny was on the sofa in the business and we lost everything? And it was sad. And you know what? I just see the tear drop down my eye. And for me, the thought process on that, we've all been there, mate. Everyone's fucked up on the gear, fucked up on the booze. We've had it all and we've fucked it. And that was a moment for everyone. But let me tell you where that scene was. It was in a box, this big, a box in a warehouse, this big with 2 beds in it, and 300 people outside, and cameras everywhere, and people sneaking around. So if you think it's easy to put yourself in that bubble and do that, it's fucking work. There's an art in it. And this is what, and I've got to the point where I go, yeah, I know, mate, it's great, isn't it? Don't have to act me. It's easier just to say, I don't have to act. Yeah, that's easy for me. Do you know what I mean? But you're right. First film I got, boxing movie. Boxing, great. I'm a boxer. Great, South London. Sweet, I know villains, easy. I've been very lucky with the first lot of movies to bring me in to the industry and the art because I understand it. Do you know, if someone would have said to me, go and do Shakespeare for my first job, I could never have done it. Do it, bring it now, I'll do it, not a problem. But they say it takes 20 years to be an actor, and I believe that now.
Yeah. The business, like, phenomenal film. Like, there's so many scenes that people can relate to, the party and everything.
Everyone.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a show.
The film when you've lost everything, mate, and you're trying to get that woman to fuck him, and you're spitting in your hand trying to fix his hair, mate. Like, how was
getting there and wash your cock? And don't ask me where this come from. It's not even in the script. Get a semi.
Yeah,
get in there and wash your cock and get a semi.
Poor bastard, because he did look distraught.
You know, even that day, to play drunk is always difficult. You can always tell. I've never actually played drunk without getting drunk. I'll always say, can you do that either at the beginning, where I can lock off, or do it at the end? And I haven't had many drunk scenes, but I did one called Blood In, Blood Out, and I had a drunk party scene with the villain. Well, it was a drunk party scene, and I just said, can you let me go? And he went, go on, you got an hour. I just knocked back half a bottle of vodka and I turned up. But you got to find a balance. You can't turn up fucked. But you found a balance, and I did it. And on that one, I knew we had a big day. And the night before, I didn't sleep. I drank 3 bottles of wine and smoked 2 joints. And I don't smoke. I don't smoke weed. I've never have done. He sent me to do it, and I turned up horrible. Fucking rut growling. I was angry. I was horrible. I said, fucking put the camera up. And Nick went, he's ready. So let's go. And it was just up and down. And a lot of that was, we have to stick to the page because Nick's writing's phenomenal. You know what I mean? It's great. But a lot of it was added in and this and back and forth and doing that. And that desperate side of it. I think that's why it worked so well, because Danny was fucked. He stayed up. I stayed up. And he's like, it just, see what the great thing about Danny and me, where we're friends, he throws things at me and I can react. What are you going to do? Kill me? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, get in there and wash your car. And as I'm mincing up, and get a semi. And then you cut to him fucking washing his face with shit. Just fucking desperate. But you're right. And everyone everywhere globally talks about the business. And there was a little stage in my life where just don't want to talk about it anymore. But it's as I've got older, you go up north, especially, and kids come up and go, I grew up watching you.
Yeah.
And your position as an actor changes.
Do you think you appreciate it more that you're getting a little older?
So much more, yeah. I didn't get it then because I fucked up. We can get into that if you want. I fucked it, royally fucked it. But as you get older, and there's none worse a place than director's jail or actor's jail, it's none worse. But as I got older and people would come over, and I've never had a troll, I've never had a bad egg. I get drunks and the boys fucking overstepping the mark, and then you've got to squeeze their neck a little bit and go turn it in, and bite their earlobes, you know what I mean, and go stop now, enough. And they go, okay. But it's excitement, they're just excited. So and I'm good with everyone. And what they say to you now is a lot more poignant. It means a lot more. Because before, when I first started, oh, mate, you're the geezer in that film's fucking brilliant. Fucking you legend. You fucking, not you legend then, but now it's, you're a legend. I grew up, you was a father figure to me. And you sit there and you think, how is that? I mean, do these kids want to be villains? They want to be, but it's something that they grabbed onto, the Playboy or this. And I think the villains I played were powerful men. Fun men. He had a bit of style, didn't he? He had his, he was everything a young, lightly lad wants to be.
I think every man wants to be that. Yeah. Powerful, respected, happy, very well dressed.
Fair, well dressed. Not a wrong un.
Everybody thinks they're that character anyway. In their minds,
everybody's the Playboy.
Everybody thinks that. Not every cunt is it though, but I know people who genuinely think.
The amount of people I come up to go, real villains.
Yeah.
Especially up your neck of the woods. That was based on me, weren't it? I go, absolutely. It was all you. Yeah. It was all you. And it's like Nick wrote it. And when you look at these characters, because I didn't know who he was going to be. But Nick was part of my schooling as well, because he went away and he went, I need you to write a backstory on this character. Because I created it. Nick's got gold teeth. And I went, I want the gold teeth, Nick. Can I have your gold teeth in homage to you? He said, what's his second name? I went, Love. Charlie Love. So that was his name. So I paid a lot of homage to that character with Nick. And he went, go away and write a backstory. I said, no less than 8 pages, anything more. So I went away and wrote the backstory. And I took that with me through my whole career. Because we get ink on a page, unless it's a true life character you're playing, you just get ink on a page and we have to bring that character to life. So the work's there. You do your work at home. The magic's sprinkled on the day on set. You sprinkle the magic on the set and you bring it to life. And then he said, write a backstory in it. And I did. I wrote a backstory in it. I mean, it's a bit vain. The backstory's a bit vain, but it suited the character. And I can tell you, I've never said it before, but I've got it written down somewhere. And I said, and it was my relationship with Sammy as well. We grew up together. And I was actually bullied as a kid. Very similar to my life story. I was bullied as a kid. My father was Irish, that looked like George Best. And my mother was Spanish, that looked like Sophia Loren. Hence his good looks, right? Because you get a breakdown on it, and that's where he was. And he was always a young, weak child, and Sammy was older than him, but Sammy took him under his wing. Sammy was the kid on the estate that would cut people to pieces and stab them, and the feared one, but loved me. And then he reared me through, because my father was killed in an armed robbery. He was a villain. He was killed in an armed robbery, and my mum had to raise me, and Sammy looked after me as a big brother. And then he took me round that way to become a bank robber and a villain. So that was the backstory of him, and I think it worked really well. But as you're going along through the film as well, you have to be careful in what you say. I'll give you one example. That opening scene when I'm getting a blowjob behind the bar, and fucking every scene for everyone. Mary Jane girl's playing in the background behind the bar. You better fuck off now. Back for me. Do you know what I mean? And it was there was a scene when I pulled up, and I go, spending the old man's money, and she goes, so and so's in there. She's got the right arse with you, and she pulls out, you cardboard cat, cunt, blah blah blah. See, I didn't know that wasn't even in the script. So Nick's pulled her at the back and gone, and she's married to my Uncle Dennis. She's like an auntie, do you know what I mean? And then she's come out and she's gone, he's gone, I want you to put cunt, cardboard cunt in there, packy and bank robber. I don't care what you say, just go and say it. So she's come out and go, I wait 3 hours for you, blah, blah, cardboard cut, look like a packy anyway, what's the matter? And I was like, I didn't know it was coming. So I was like, but my dialogue after that was, shut your mouth, you fucking little wretch, you're only with me because I'm looking after your plate. It was horrible. And for me, I thought I would have lost, and we agreed, and Nick agreed, would have lost the female audience. You'd have hated him from then because he's a prick. He started off so cool, and he went, what are you going to do? And I went, I don't know. I said, I think to say. He went, go on then. And she did it, and I just went, drive on. Do you see what I'm saying? So a lot of things in the film with the characters as well, you have to create while you're going along. And there's a lot of things I won't say. I haven't said the N-word. I've tried to swerve away from that. I've refused to play a terrorist. I've refused, because when I started, there wasn't a lot of us in the game. There wasn't a lot of men of colour, call it what you want, in the game. So predominantly I was getting offered terrorist roles, this role, that role. And I thought, if I do them, I'm going to be pigeonholed. So I stopped them. I refused to play a rapist, a paedophile, and all that. So because I have, people believe stuff.
What they see? Or what
They believe what they see. And you can get put in that realm. Yes, I played a villain. Yes, I love playing a villain. I'm too ugly to fucking sit in front and be the romantic lead, right? So, and I couldn't think of anything worse, sitting opposite a table reciting poetry to a beautiful leading lady. I want to shoot the guns, I want to write witches, I want to drive the cars, I want to crash the cars, I want to have the fights while I'm fit and able. But even when we did Bonded by Blood, there was a bit of dialogue in there that the young Leah Betts, who sadly passed away, who OD'd, and that was a prominent part of that story, always has been. And there was something in there where my dialogue was like, fuck her, the dozy mare, or something like a fucking poxy piece of shit. She fucking OD'd, something like that. And I refused to do it. And the director was like, why? And I went, because she has parents. And this is a true adaptation of something that, if they watch it, will really affect them. And he went, and I said, I'm not saying it. I said, I can change it. And I changed it to something like, you know, the poor thing has drunk too much water and OD'd, but it's on her head, you know. So it showed a bit of compassion. It didn't have to be that. So I try and work things. I'm very conscious of what I say, especially when we're doing true life stories. And I think it's the right thing to do because I'm a parent myself. And, you know, the rest of the story is the rest of the story. But little things like that. There was a scene that we did Wrong Turn and someone said, say the N-word. I said, I don't have to say it. I can dance around it. I mean, listen, if I'm doing a film and it's predominantly blacks versus whites, and they're doing it and I'm doing it, and that's what the story is. But if it doesn't need to be said, I won't say it. Do you see what I'm saying? I won't say it.
Were you ever offended by, you have to go off script and people just have to say shit? Were you ever offended sometimes, even though you know it's acting?
Frank Harper did it to
me.
Did he? The fucking shit. Yeah, you probably noticed this. He coached me into telling you. Frank did it to me on the football pitch when we did the Football Factory. It wasn't in there. And my name's fucking Millwall Fred. Like, for once, I'm a fucking Ingleso, you know what I mean? I'm one of the boys, I've got an English name. And he just comes out of it, we're sitting there, and he just comes out, well, is it that you buy your child off a white man? You got him in your kebab shop in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I thought, oh, you cunt. That's when I went there. How does it feel doing business with a Turk when you're supposed to be right wing? Scooby-Doo's that's fucking confusing. And I thought that, you fat fucking Chelsea prick. And then if you look at it, when we was doing it, I was that fucking annoyed. If you look at it, when we clash, I was just fucking rattling him. I was on him, biting him and fucking, and Nick was going, stop. It's got to look like a draw because you're going to give the game away. It's not with Chelsea, the next thing. I'm like, fuck that. And I just kept going. And that one time I let him get on top of me, I rolled over. He fucking put that in there, didn't he, Nick? Yeah. But if you listen to Frank carefully, he goes, I'll give you Gallipoli, you cunt. Listen to him carefully in that scene. Yeah. From that day, I called him a fat bastard all the way through the film. You're having it, do you know what I mean?
Those two characters we used were unbelievable.
Brilliant, weren't they?
Yeah, class, man, because it was a nice mixture of a bit of respect, but also your fucking hatred was there. Yeah, it was a perfect mixture.
It worked, didn't it? Yeah. It just worked too, man, watching the game and I'm doing this. And then he's throwing it, I'm throwing it back. Listen, I mean, I think Nick... I think that was his favourite. I think that's most people's favourite scene in that movie. But I mean, Danny's stuff was brilliant as well, wasn't it? Fucking.
How did you deal with the fame, the attention that comes with it, the glory? Like,
I was all right with it, too. My daughter fucking terrified. I remember her walking through the malls and stuff, and I got famous really quick, and she used to be terrified about getting mobbed and all that. And I went to watch the business at the cinema near the Blackwall Tunnel, and I just said to my wife, I said, let's just go and sit at the back and see packed. Every cinema. I mean, fucking, it was a phenomenon even then. And I sat at the back, and this is the first bit of fame I really experienced. That was quite frightening. And the lights come on, and I just got up and took my wife by the hand and as we're walking out, they looked around, it's fucking him. It's the Playboy. Because no one knew my name. I've got a double barrel name, Tamer Hassan. I'm not John Smith, am I? Do you know what I mean? So it's him from the business. And so I go, oh, hi, everyone, like this. And they've all started rushing up. And those back then, 2030, those were the days where famous people were famous. There was no reality TV, so you was famous or you weren't. Do you know? And if you was, you was chased, and fame was fame. And then I remember they all come out. I got pinned against the wall. My wife actually pulled me and kicked a fire door through and took me down the fire escape and slammed the door, took me down the fire escape. And then as we come out, they started running out and chased us to the car.
Fuck's sake.
It was fucking terrifying.
Did you ever worry about that for your kids when you started?
Always. You always worry about your kids. And I had to have that conversation with them. Listen, your dad's famous now, and you've got to be a little bit more vigilant. You've got to be a little bit more careful because people think differently. And, people think we make millions. We don't. Back then, you're a movie star and you need these big cinema blockbusters and these releases. They think you're making millions. You're not. I think I got paid 15 grand to do the business,
That's fucking
15 grand.
Blockbuster film as well.
Right, 15 grand. But I would have done it for nothing because Nick Love, thank God for him, see the relationship me and Danny had and gave me my first lead. So it went from there. So I would have probably given him money to do it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you do these at the beginning. You got to make these decisions, and I made the right decisions. And 15 grand, we spent that while we was there. We was there 3 months. I had the best time of my life.
He's partying.
Non-stop. What we'd do then, it was brilliant. We'd finish work. We'd all go back to the trailer. Me, Jeff, all the boys, little Roland. We'd get the dialogue in, and go out on the piss. It was just the best time ever. It was, and we'd go down to Marbella, and then we'd go down to here, and honestly, we had listen. We didn't even let our wives come out, and what we did as well, Nick made us do a dress rehearsal. We had a party in character as well, and we weren't allowed to call each other by our names. It's really weird. Like he was Sammy, I was Charlie, all the way through. Like even after the set, we had to call each other by the names. It was really bizarre. But within 2 weeks, I got used to it. And then I finally let the wife come out, and she come out for a weekend. If it was my birthday or her birthday or something, and she'd be calling me Tam, and I wouldn't listen to her. I couldn't hear her. And then she'd go. And then Jeff said, "Call him Charlie," because she was on set. She go, "Charlie." I go, "What, babe?" It was that. It was and it's only now I'm thinking about these things that they're coming back to me. But it was a trip, man. It was fucking brilliant. It was weird when we were doing when we did the wardrobe call. They put me in Farrah's, Sergio, Pierre Cardin shirt, and it was fucking horrendous, mate. It was, and I was in that wall. It was just like in a room like this in a wardrobe fitting. It was. I think, did I used to wear this shit? Did I actually used to wear this shit and feel good in it? But I've got to tell you, when Nick set it up and you was there and he captured the 80s, you put that gear on, we thought we was the bollocks, mate.
Yeah.
We thought we was the bollocks.
Even when you're talking about, you look how happy you are, man. It's just fucking great memories, isn't it? It makes me happy listening.
It's just great memories. It just, the industry's changed a lot. It's not like it used to be. I did a TV show called Snatch, and these young kids, these young millennials are terrified to ask directors things. We're a dying breed, I thought, man. We're rock and roll, and we got stories, and these kids won't have these stories. They just don't have it, you know what I mean? And they're scared that they've been put in this bubble, and that's the bit of the industry I don't like anymore. I'm sitting there, and I won't say who it was, and she's very famous now, and she's doing really well, and a few of the youngsters just kind of go, they call me Unks on set. Unks, do you think I could do it this way? And I go, ask the director. Oh, no. They go, no, can you ask for me? And I'm thinking, where's the creative process in that?
Mm-hmm. Where do you learn?
And I pull the director and go, listen, they're scared to ask you. Why are they going? And I learned quite quickly, it's not the director, it's them upstairs. It's the little wankers upstairs that get a high-powered job, that start throwing the threats out. You'll never work again. Don't do this, you'll never work again. Don't do that again, you get blacklisted, you get this, you get cancelled. It's horrible, their mindset. It's horrible. Whereas us, rock and roll, mate.
Fuck it.
Yeah, let's go. Do you know what I mean?
Did you ever burn out, Tom?
Yeah.
When?
I burned out early doors. I did. If you think about it, I've been in the business 25, 26 years. I've done 60 titles, madness. I was doing 2-3 films at a time. I missed my kids growing up. And I did burn out because what happened with me was we was turning up at clubs, me and Danny, and it was rock and roll. It was a different time. It was, you know, you wouldn't see De Niro turn up at a club or doing PAs, but we started getting a fortune for doing these PAs. And I mean, Danny was super famous and super loved. He was a god. He was a fucking sex symbol. He was great. And I was just following him around. And then when we become one in these 2 films, it was madness, mate. It was like, I can't remember most of it. Like literally, that's why I know we had a good time. Because we'd get taken to clubs, we'd get given bottles, millions of people it was like you're sitting there, there's ropes around us through back doors. We were like rock stars, but we weren't in the rock star business. We were actors, but we were treated like rock stars. We'd put 4,000 or 5,000 people in the club, predominantly more Danny because of, you know, he was that guy at the time, and then I'd sort of come and then we'd become one, and then it'd double up, and then we'd, you know, it got to the point where I started working, getting up early, going out, getting up early, going out, working, and it just started burning me out. And then I started getting ratty, then I started getting horrible, then I started being late for work, and quickly people turn around and go, we can't work with him, he's too much hard work, as great as he is. We can't work. And it's happened to a lot of people. It's not just me. I'm not special. You know, the Madsons, the this, the that, all of those great actors, it comes and it can go really quickly. Now I've learned, be humbled, be grateful, go to work, do your work, go home. I stopped drinking for many, many years. I sat without working for about 4 years, not understanding why. I could walk out on the street and I get mobbed and what the fuck's up with people? Why can't I fucking get a job? Mate, I couldn't even get doctors. I couldn't even bag a job on doctors. It was that bad because the industry will go, it's like anyone. It's a workspace. You're a builder, you're running a building site. If someone turns up and starts spraying paint all over the place and fucking disrupting, you know, your workers and disrupting progress, you're not going to want them on your job, are you? It's no different in the film game, but we just didn't see it. We thought it was invincible. Well, I did, but mind you, Danny had a hard time as well. And then before you know it, mate, the money dries up, the work dries up, the PAs dry up, and you're just a famous man that everybody loves that doesn't know that side of your life. Do you see what I'm saying here? Because nobody knows that side of my life. Nobody would have known because I would still give out an award and you'd still see me at an event with a tie on, a black tie event. I'm not one to go to an open envelope, but every now and again, if I decide to go somewhere, I'll go. So the public, the general public doesn't see that. They just see their fucking hero. They just see Tamer Hassan as the playboy or Milfred or whatever. But then you get to the point where it's 1, 2, 3 years and it's like, Are you going to do anything soon? You start fucking fannying, you know. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Oh yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Blah blah blah. And then before you know it, you realise that time has passed. A decade has passed, and you haven't done those great movies. And thank fuck nobody else has neither, because I think there was an era of movies prior to that was, you know, Long Good Friday, Italian Job. I think we cornered an era of British film history. But then that goes, and then you have to start again, and that's the hard bit, because you're in an industry you love so much, you're in an industry that you love and respect so much. How the fuck do you get it back? And it's nigh impossible. And you see, like Mickey Rourke with The Wrestler, did that for nothing, mate. And director told him, you play out once, you're out. Got him an Oscar, got him a Golden Globe. So there are comeback stories. Everybody loves a comeback story. What's his name? Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. Look at all these great comebacks, richest man on the planet. And there is always a comeback story, but only you can make that happen. And only you can prove. And this is just a bit of a lesson for the younger ones coming through. If you fuck up, you fuck up. But always remember this. The journey back to where you was is nigh impossible. Don't do it. Be professional. Be committed. Be disciplined. Go to work. Do your job, go home. Treat it as a job. Don't treat it as a privilege. as if you're giving them a privilege, because what we do is a privilege. It ain't a job, it's a privilege. We get to dress up as people. We get to drive the cars, shoot the guns, travel the world, meet amazing people, and make loads of money when that time comes. And if you abuse that and it goes away, it's the hardest thing in the world to get it back.
When were you at your lowest time?
About 10 years ago. It was at that point where everything was on top and it just kept coming. And I found myself, I've always delivered good performances. Sometimes I was having a laugh, so I've delivered my best performances drunk, you know what I mean, or hungover. But I've never faltered in a role. I've never faltered in a scene. I've never faltered in my commitment to delivering the art, whether it be one scene or 300 scenes. Never ever thought. I've always been. And if you look at some of the behind the scenes stuff, you know, with me and Danny, we're just about to kick that door in and rob the Spanish people at the end of that film. And I'm behind the door going, you ready? When fucking Edie's coming around, it's going, we get psyched up for it. So we actually go in now. We go in. We don't just do it. We go in. So I've never thought with that. But on the outside of it, with the industry and with my behaviour, and it wasn't done. And this is the sad part of it. When you don't know you're doing it and you can't see it and you're blinded by the lights and you're blinded by the bullshit and you don't know you're doing it and there's no one there to fucking tell you doing it. And if there is, you're not listening to them because you think they're talking shit. Shut up, you fucking div. Don't tell me. Look at me. I've done this. And you get to that. And that's the hard bit. When you finally have nothing, and you won't know until you have nothing. And trust me, as good as God made little green apples, I don't give a fuck who you are. You will end up with nothing.
You ever suicidal?
No, never. Never had mental problems. Never. But I'm very, very strong. Yeah. Strong in my heart, strong in my soul. I've been through a lot.
It takes people to that, though, to be at the height of the biggest name in British films, to then you feel as if you're on a decline, you're kind of losing jobs, you're burning bridges, that people think life's over.
That's social media, reality TV. It's happening now. It's happening now. It's happening all the time, and it's plaguing us at the moment, especially in men. But you know, for me, I've always been strong, and I've been strong because I am somebody who serves and protects. I know that everybody will go and say I'm a closer. You know, it takes a certain person to close a deal. I'm an opener. You want to fucking get in the door with a Pope, I'll open the door. You got to get in there and do the deal. I can do all of that stuff. But I serve and protect. So I have responsibilities, which is my family. And my family's family. And my family's family's family. And I'm now thinking about my grandchildren and their grandchildren. So I have responsibilities. So I don't have time to be suicidal. I don't have time to be, to have mental issues. Well, listen, I get the hump and I fucking have throw a skits now and again, but it quickly goes. I know how to get rid of it quite quickly. And I'm good at talking people out of stuff as well.
How did you worry for your daughter being on a reality show? Because a lot of people will maybe go to acting school and then maybe do 10 years of their craft, like yourself, not through into the limelight, because you kind of worked your craft and then you got your big roles. But how did you ever worry for her because of the attention that programme gets, to then worry that, like you in the cinema and people flooding them? That was a concern, because I've got a daughter at 12 and she does the acting. She just played.
It's the worst thing in the world, a daughter coming up to her father going, I want to go on Love Island. Can you imagine, especially being me? But no, my daughter actually went to drama school. She was she's classically trained. She did Irish dancing. She's a trained actress, singer, trained singer, dancer. She done all of that stuff. But going back to what I was saying before, how it affected her, me being mobbed with the fame, put her completely off it. She didn't want anything to do. Didn't want to go nowhere near it. So she took up makeup and become really good at it. Was making a lot of money at it. And then she had a few bad boyfriends. And then she just, out the fucking blue, Dad, I want to go on Love Island. What? Is this a fucking wind up? And I mean, I won't bore you with the details, but she went on Love Island, and I said to her, look, you know, what's your end game? She was 21, I think, at the time, and she went, well, I want 150,000 followers, I want 5 salons, and I want my own makeup range, and I want to float it to L'Oreal for 100 million. How old are you? 21, and I thought, how do I say no to that? How do I stop that? And I was overwhelmed at just that. And I just said to her, look, just go in there. If you don't find love, darling, have the best holiday of your life. It's a game show. And remember, I'm fucking watching you. I'm watching every fucking
I've been fucking saying the same.
I'm watching every fucking move.
Standing outside the villa with a shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be on that roof watching everything. And you know who your dad is, right?
Yeah, remember who your dad knows.
She was right, yeah. She was like, Dad, I got it. And you know what? She went in.
She's done amazing, man. And I see a lot of your traits in her now that I've met you. Like, there's kind of similarities.
We and her are like that.
Yeah.
Me and her are like that.
Did you worry though every night?
Nah, do you know what? I
Did you
tell
start
you,
enjoying it yourself?
my mum, and I wouldn't watch it, but my mum, I watched a bit of it, but my mum taught me to respect women. We live under women's feet as men.
Yeah.
We bow down to women. My mum's taught us to be like that and to raise my daughter. I raised my sister. I never locked her up, especially being from a Turkish community. They've got sit indoors. They've got to do, they can't move. They're very strict, but we wasn't like that. My sister, like, I'll pick you up, drop you off. Want to wear some heels? We'll buy some. I was like my daughter's out this time. My daughter, like my wife and my son would discipline the life out of her, but I was the one that. I was a naughty dad. Me and her very, very close, and she literally went in and she. Like the producers would call me. I don't know if they'd call anyone else, but they'd come in and go, Tam, listen, it's going to be a bit raunchy tonight. The task is lap dancing raunchy. Maybe you shouldn't watch it. And I'm like, I'm okay. I'm on my way to Switzerland. I'm on a rally. I won't watch it anyway. Like this, boom. But when I got back and I watched her walk out on them steps, even though she's my daughter, like she's touching 6 foot, beautiful, stunning, walks out in slow-mo. I was so proud. I was so like overwhelmed. I'm not like that. Listen, I'll pull her into line when she needs to be put in line. But I just looked at her and I went, go on, girl. You know what I mean? Look how I get goosebumps when I talk about it. Look how amazing you look. Look how beautiful you are. Go and show them go and show them what God gave you. Go on, be the best you can be. It doesn't matter what it is. I know who you are as a person. I'd go on shows and I'd be on the right stuff and stuff like that. And it was all predominantly for us, hilarious. I used to get called onto stages saying, Hollywood actor, hard man actor, Tamer Hassan. Now I get invited to Sofa's star of Love Island, Bel Hassan's dad. Do you know what I mean? That's how big it was for her. That's how big the show was.
You're the sideshow. You're just the dad.
So Bob there, which I'm happy. I'm happy about it. But yeah, I'd go on there and you'd have people phoning in like, how could you let your daughter do that? I'm like, hang on, sweetheart. Well, first thing, she's 21. Secondly, I can't really tell her what to do. She's a strong, powerful, independent woman. Thirdly, as a parent, the best I can do is guide her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you got ignorance around it. But then she went in there and she was fucking brilliant. I watched it all. She came out, she had 1 million followers, and I sat her down again. And me being in the industry and where I've messed up, I'm not going to allow her to mess up. I wasn't going to allow her to fall out of nightclubs doing PAs drunk with a load of boys around her. We predominantly set up a map for her with her makeup, her tutorials, her singing, and her presenting. And I said to her, you've got 1 million followers. We had 1 million too then. She went, yeah, no, it's great then. And I went, hang on. What's the age group? She went, I think from like 8 up until 17. You got responsibility, girl. Mm-hmm. You got responsibility to these girls now. Remember that. And she got it straight away. She went, you're right, Dad. She's never put Botox in her mouth, in her face. She's never put fillers in her lips. She's not had no veneers. Not saying there's a problem with that, and she was probably one of the first ones to come out with no makeup on. It turns out no makeup and her glasses on and her geeky dogs and messages about. And then it was quite funny. A little while back, my wife said something to me about, no, it wasn't my wife. It was someone else in my family. Went, is Belle okay? I went, yes, she's fine, because I don't watch her stuff, TikTok stuff. I don't watch it because there's so much of it. She said, is Belle okay? She had a meltdown on Instagram. I went, hang on. I said, I'll call you back. Belle, you're right, love. She said, yeah. I said, what's the matter? You had a meltdown on the series. She went, yeah, I did, Dad. I went, what are you doing that for to the public? Why are you showing that? She went, because, Dad, I have a responsibility to do it, like you said, because everything ain't fucking rosy. Yeah. Everything isn't always great. And people need to know that our lives ain't perfect because I'm always smiling and doing this and doing that. No, if I'm having a meltdown, I want to show them that we're normal. Mm-hmm. I went, good for you, girl. But are you okay? She said, I'm okay. I said, good.
I know you're very big on mental health. Is that because you had struggled yourself about 10 years ago? You get a better understanding of it?
When I say I've not had mental health, I've known how to deal with my issues.
How do you deal with
everybody has mental health issues, and everyone says, I don't have mental health. We all have mental health. It's just, we just learn how to deal with it. Some people are stronger than others. And for me, I always find a way around it. I always find a solution to the problem. I go to prison. Most prison people go to prison and go, I'm fucked. My wife's going to leave me. I'm going to die. And they go on that slope of fucking, and they go, and it sends them do it. I'll go in there and go, great. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to read. And I'm going to get in the gym. And the great thing is, I get 3 meals a day and I don't have to give anyone any money. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's kind of my mentality around things. It's around that with everything. Everything I do it with love. And the best medicine for me is don't give a fuck. I just get on with it. And I know that might sound sort of, easy, and some people could say, well, you're fucking easy for you to say. You got a great family. Well, whatever I got, I work for. Whatever I got, I create myself. And I started seeing these mental breakdowns in my family and around the communities and around where I lived and people. And I started thinking about, why are people getting on drugs? Why are people doing this? Why do people become alcoholics? And I'm a bit geeky when it comes to things, researching stuff. I will sit and I'll research stuff and I'll look at stuff. And then I started sort of looking at it, and then I started thinking about what we was told as kids. And all my mum and dad used to say, and everyone around said, don't go near him, he's fucking mad. Don't go near him, he's a nutter. And the more they hear it, the worse they get, because that's what they're told they are. That's what they are. We're programmed to do as we're fucking told. We're programmed as humans to adapt to our environment. You're a product of your environment, as they say. And I started looking at it and I'm thinking, is he fucking mad though? Is he mad? Is he this? Is he that? And why are we being taught that? Why is that being drummed into us? He's a nutter. If he's a nutter, da-da-da-da-da. And then I started looking at the suicide rates and all of that stuff. And then predominantly I'd really looked into it hard around the lockdown and the pandemic, looking at the stats. And we set up something called Mind Soldiers, which was then, and then we set up something called Mask Our Heroes, which is another charity that we was giving out PPE and stuff. But you started looking at going around these hospitals, you started seeing people and the mental states they're in. Then you start looking at reality TV, why people are... they have their 6 months of fame, the next show and the new ones in, they're done, they're finished, they're going to kill themselves. Then they start getting on the gear. And it was all predominantly around crying and speaking. And why I was looking at, why is it predominantly more in men? Men are stronger, men are the money getters, men can go out and have a good time. Men, to be a man in my head is great. To be a woman, it's like, you got to give birth, you got to have periods, you got this, you got that, you got to put up with this. For me, being a man was always fucking the best thing in the world. And then looking at it, you started thinking, they don't talk. The masculinity. We won't cry. I remember when I was growing up, if I cried, stop crying, were you a little girl? Don't you dare let me see you crying. It's the worst thing on the world. Crying's the biggest healer on the planet, expressing yourself, talking. And we set up these chat rooms as well. And what it was is we set up these little cells of chat rooms where people from all around the world could sit in that little bubble, and the whole thing around it was, if you're lying in bed and you look over, you've got your wife there, you've got a cot with a baby in, you've got 2 kids in another room. You ain't going to wake your wife up and go, I'm suicidal. You ain't going to do it, because we're men and that's how we're raised. So what are you going to do? You're going to go downstairs, you're going to top yourself, or you're going to try and work through it. But you're never going to call anyone at 3 o'clock in the morning, are you?
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's difficult, right?
That's why
you've been there.
Yeah. The thoughts with the gear and the booze, the gambling, that
especially when you're on
that's all an escape, and then it's the depression. You don't feel good enough. Feel like a loser. You keep doing it to try and numb the pain, escape from the pain.
In the bowl.
Yeah, Wim Hof, I'm good friends with the Iceman, and his wife committed suicide. He snapped, just pushed himself. The cold water saved him, because it was with the cold water, it's raises your dopamine levels 250%, lowers anxiety, lowers depression. He didn't know this at the time.
Freezing water, brilliant therapy. Cold showers.
Everything I believe should be natural to heal the pain. Speaking out is a must. Again, the reason why suicide rate is so high in guys, because we've got the fuck it button. We've not got the feminine energy where girls sit in wee packs and talk all their bullshit out. We just fucking sit behind the drink and the mask all with the lies, I'm fine, I'm okay. Listen, man, open up, put your hands up and say, you know what, I'm fucking struggling. I don't like the job I'm in, I've got debt, whatever. I do suicide work in Glasgow with Chrissy's house. I'm an ambassador for. I've seen kids coming in with the rope burns. And the first thing they think about when they're hanging from the rope, like 2 kids have come in the ropes, and the first thing that happens when they jump to kill themselves is once they start feeling the pain, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. As soon as they jump, one kid jumped to a fucking bridge. Daft cunt broke his 2 legs and survived. Now the boy does his own talks now at the suicide centre. Like, it's unbelievable. But the first thing he thought about when he jumped off the bridge was, I don't want to die. What have I done? So we've all got something here.
Don't commit suicide.
The pain's up here that you can change
suicide.
the way you think and feel. How's your relationship with your brother now?
My brother's good. I just want to touch on this. Find yourself a cell. Find yourself a group of people that are on a WhatsApp group. Just set up a normal WhatsApp group where you can, and it should be global, and where you can tap and go, is anyone around? I need to speak. And someone will come in. And the minute you start talking, because I've done this, and people will tell you that social media is what it is for me. Social media. Socialize, right? And people would, and it used to drive my wife mad. What are you doing? I just donate 2 hours a day. And it weren't even just chatting to single mums, talking to them about why they should live, why they shouldn't live. And you just talk around. Even if it's in Texas, you have to fucking talk, boys. You have to talk. Speak to someone. And if you see someone, and I know this is cliche and you heard it all before, if you see someone that you think's okay, still ask. Because you don't know what's behind them eyes. Check in. How are you, mate? You all right? You're sweet. Somebody's just split up with their wife. Check in on a regular basis. Someone's just lost something. Someone's got the sack. The minute you hear somebody say, oh, you ain't going to fucking believe this, check in.
Where can people get this app?
Check it. It's called...
Is that an app?
It's on... I'm going to give it to you. It's called 24/7. I'm going to give it to you. It's a phone-in. It's a phone-in thing. But the one we've got, I'm not promoting it or saying it. But what I'm saying is get a group of Mindspace. It's called Mindspace. But I'll get you the detail. Yeah. Get a group of guys. You all know. You all know what you're going through. What we joke about it, but even jokes. Get a group of you. Put it out there. Put it on your social. Say, listen, I'm setting this. Be brave enough to go. Do a story. I'm setting up a little WhatsApp group. There's the WhatsApp number. If you want to come in and you're struggling, go on the WhatsApp group. Just set it up. It's the easiest thing. A live story, just set up a WhatsApp number, invite people into it. Put it on there, invite people into it. It'll be predominantly men. And then they can just sit there and go, 3 o'clock in the morning, get up, I'm having an hard time. Is anyone about? Someone will come on.
Mm-hmm. How's the relationship with your brother now? You say he's on a good
Big brother.
path? Yeah,
he's good. Yeah, he's good. He was having a bit of a moment the other day, bless him. He just lost his wife. He hasn't had a relationship for 10 years, 11 years, and he woke up and she was lying face down, dead next to him, which is always tough. He was going to get engaged to her on the Saturday. She passed away on the Friday. It was about a year, 18 months ago, but he has his ups and downs, and we check in on him. And he's very much of that ilk. I'm all right. I'm all right, bruv. Don't worry about me. I'm sweet. I'll get through it. But you're not. You don't get through it. Because I know he says to me, ping me a few quid. I got no dough. I send him a few quid. I know he's sitting in the park with a case of beer, reminiscing what's happened, and that doesn't get him anywhere. But then he goes missing. My mum checks in on him, and he went missing for about 2 weeks. And he's always around my mum's. He's every day stops. So he's a very simple man. He's not like me, extravagant and all that. He's got his bike. He gets on his bike. He does a bit of labouring. He's a very, very simple man. A beautiful. I wish I could be like that sometimes. His life's very simple, and he goes around my mum's every day, has a bit of dinner. She hasn't seen him for 2 weeks, so it's just something about him. He'll always answer to me. My sister's driving mad. This one day, well, I just won't answer. I pick up. You all right, son? He goes, yeah. You struggling? Just my head's all over the place, and they want to admit me to Maudsley. But they can't hear what he's saying. Like, I said, what, the mental hospital? He goes, yeah. I go, what's the matter? Wow. He goes, I'm releasing it by shouting in my room. He lives in a room, and I go, well, you're just shouting. He goes, yeah. But to me, that's okay. To scream out a problem is okay, but everyone around him thinks he's losing his nut. Mm-hmm. So I just said to him, what do you need? He said, I'm skinned, I've got love. I said, all right. I said, do you want to speak to your favourite niece? Because him and my daughter get on well. And did the phone over to him. We was on the phone to him for about an hour. just talking about stuff, normal stuff. I pinged over a little bit of money into his account. At the end of it, I said, put some money in your account, go and get some food, go and get a bit of grub. You had a good time? He went, it's exactly what I needed. He went, thank you so much. That's all I needed. It's a bit of love, a conversation, and a bit of grub. You know what I mean? It's like nothing. And that's our relationship now, me and my brother. That's our relationship. We locked in at my dad's funeral. We've had our ups and downs. We used to fight a lot, but we're all right. He's old. He's not well. I say he's old. He's going to be 60, but he was an alcoholic at 14 years old. It's ravaged him. Do you know what I mean? But
see, with your success, do you think that can play a part on people around you thinking they never reached those heights as well? That
yeah, he did. He hated me. He had those regrets. He hated every time I got drunk. He'd fucking smash into me and destroy me verbally. I never bothered. It was just a drink. I don't worry about drinking. But yeah, he had it. But then he started doing featured artist work. He fucking loves it. Do you know what I mean? He turns up on set. He works more than me. He's working every day. He works more than me. What do you want now? I'm on Mission Impossible now. I go, what are you doing? He goes, oh, we're running down the street. We're doing this. We're doing that. He's happy. He's low. And then he can't do a bit of labouring. He says, 80 quid I got today, brother. I'm like, brilliant, Taz. Just keep going.
It's funny, man, because the people who come back from addiction are the most beautiful people on the planet because they see the world differently. They know what it's like to be at fucking rock bottom. Where there's no, because I always say that shit, no cunt's coming to save you. Fucking no cunt.
No one's going to get down. You got to do
and when you do that and start making changes, see the world a little differently, start seeing it clearer, you can change the world.
Absolutely.
You can fucking change the game.
Even him now, he was jealous before. He goes, I fucking haul you out now on that set. I go, well, we don't look alike, but we've got the same eyes, haven't we? And I tell him I'm your brother. I go, well, where does that get? He goes, gets me more grub, a little bit more money. They look after me better. I go, good for you. Good for you, brother. Good for you.
But a phenomenal career. Where do you go for the future, brother?
James Bond. Keep telling everyone, they won't have it. James Bond. If they can call me Millwall Fred or Charlie Love, why can't they call me James Bond?
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible, bro. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I tell you what, I've taken different directions in my life and my career in the last 3 years. The pandemic really shook everyone up. It was great for me. I was always away from home, and I have a lovely home. I have a lovely house with all the amenities and stuff, and I'm always away from the family. And when we got locked down, the sun was shining. I said 3 months. I was like, fuck, can't you do so? I was the only one that wanted like a year lockdown or 6 months, you know, because I could spend time with the family and have a good time and stuff. But I started thinking different. There was my thought process started changing a little bit, especially with the hard times, with how difficult the industry is at the moment as well. Getting offered, I got offered so much crap. I was turning so much crap. I'm still turning crap down now as well. And I won't go into it because it's not their fault. Everybody wants to do a film and wants to get into the business, but the whole mechanism of the film industry has changed now. And I'm okay. I'm an essential element. I'm good. I've made my bones. People will always employ Tamer, but I've started sort of moving into the corporate world, doing things hotel-wise, looking at big deals. And I started enjoying it. I found myself good at it, structuring deals. I'm sitting in an office in Savile Row with some 10, 15 great like-minded people. Mikey, his father, we've got a biotechnology company with him. And then we've set up an NFT business. And all these sort of tech things that I knew nothing about, I was ignorant to. Metaverse, Bitcoin, stock shares, all of that. I was like, oh, I leave me alone. I was a man... buy it, sell it, tangible assets, or I'll go to work, I'll go home, I'll make me money. And years ago, we couldn't make it, we'd steal it, wouldn't we? So whatever it took, do you know what I mean? So, and I was always of that guy and an ignorant and a bit of an old dinosaur, but then I was just thought, let me have a look at something where I can be successful, make loads of money. I've always been that man, I've got to make loads of money. I'm not content with small amounts of money because I have a big family and I have a lot of responsibilities and I want to give. I love giving. I want to give. The more I get, the more I give. So I always want to get more, not selfishly, but I want to get more so I can do more and give more. And I just looked into the corporate world and I started looking at other things, developing other things, technical stuff and technology, should I say, not technical stuff, technology and platforms and trading and all that. And I fell in love with it. And so I kind of parked that up. I did a few little bits, but I parked it up for a minute. And then I'm concentrating on this. And we've got something that's amazing that we're doing, an NFT project that we're doing. which I believe is going to be a real big deal. It's considering that sort of 2-3% of the world is sitting in that market space. I missed the dot-com era. I was too young, and I know how people made trillions in that. I missed the trading platforms. I missed the properties in Dubai, so I didn't have money wherever I made. So I've always missed the boat. And me and Mikey's dad, Andy, decided we're not going to miss the boat on this one. And we've got, our kids are grown up and they're smart and they're in that world. And we're going to jump on that bandwagon, understand it, and create something memorable and brilliant that's going to change everybody's lives around us forever.
But I think that's your nature. Just adapt with the times. Like you say, everything changes every 20 years, I believe.
10, I think.
And it's just a case of you rolling with the punches and learning the trade. And no doubt you'll be the top boy at that. We've got Mikey here today who's going to come on after you. So let's touch on what Mikey's about.
Well, Mikey is my protege, Andy. That's his dad. He's mine now. I've taken him. Andy is a wonderful, wonderful young man who is the meaning of new millennial for me. He's very smart. He's a good kid. He's never wanted to be at school. He goes to school and he's educated himself, but school's never been for him. And he's always been an innovator. He's always been somebody that tries to look at ways of making money, changing the blueprint, creating stuff, understanding stuff. His father's the same. He's very much the same. He's got a brother, an older brother who's probably not so much like them, but his sister Amber's very driven and ambitious. But his dad's a proper smart, creative wheeler dealer, and he's taken his father's traits, little things his dad was telling me. Like he said when he was a kid, he was put him on a little digger. He's digging away. He's teaching him how to do the digging and stuff. The first thing that comes out of his mouth is, "Who's this digger, Dad?" He goes, "We've rented it." "Oh, you rented it?" He goes, "Well, why haven't you bought it?" He said, "Well, we're going to buy it." He said, "Well, when you buy it, can I rent it?" That big. Mm-hmm. So his entrepreneurial brain has always been ticking, and then he got to the point. It's quite funny. About a year, 18 months ago, I went to his dad's birthday party, and he was trading crypto and winning. Telling his dad, "Dad, put 400 quid here. Take it out, put 300 quid here." I think they made about 30, 40 grand between them, the dad, just on his intuition, his instinct, and his know-how on the crypto market. And I put my arm around him at the party, and I said, "Everyone invest in this boy, because this time next year, he's going to be a billionaire. Yeah. He's your man," just as a jovial throwaway. And we're here now. And he's created this amazing idea and this concept in the NFT space, which the NFT space has been a little bit volatile at the moment as well. But what he's created something that's very unique. He's created smart contracts around it. He's created utilities around it. He's audited it. He's created a game, a comic, a film, and a community that I think is going to be way bigger than just the NFT idea that he's brought to the table. I mean, his dad are fully behind him. We've put a whole team behind him, a technical team behind him to create and develop his dream. And I'm going to hand you over to him and let him tell you about it. But honestly, you will have him on very soon in America, speaking about his successes and how great he is. And I'm going to hand you over to him. Mikey, the stage is yours, my baby.
But Tam, for coming on today and telling your story, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed that. For anybody that's watching, though, that's maybe struggling, what advice would you have for them?
Speak, talk. It's page one. Have the courage to wake up and speak to your wife, because let me tell you something, your wife would rather hear what you've got to say than cry at your grave. Yeah. Simple as that.
Tam, absolute legend, mate. Love you, mate, and speak to you in a bit.